Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to your daily lighting critique. We are going to start with a demo reel submission from Clarissa, and we're going to take a look at that. So I looked at this once through, and actually, you know what? I'll just go ahead and start playing this, I'll let it play through once, and then I'll go back and give feedback on it. Just kind of give everyone a chance to look through. And usually when I'm critiquing demo reels, I usually pay attention to, like, because there's only kind of like I did this earlier when I looked at it, like there's only like kind of one chance that you have of that first impression, which is all you're really going to get with the person who's doing the review. So I just like to try and take note of that. So I took some notes earlier. You're very good at macaroons, I should say. I don't need to wait till the end to say that. Your macaroon work is on point.
Yeah, the Oreo's also awesome.
Yeah, small cookie-looking things are kind of your jam. If you could make a career out of that, that would be... Like, yeah, no, I just do small cookies. I'm sorry.
Thanks. Yeah, I really like desserts, so I guess that lines up in CG too.
Yeah, it shows for sure.
There's a market out there. I'm sure pastry chefs would love that.
All right, cool, great. Okay, so a few things came up when I was watching this the first time that I thought of. Number one was that let's see, we got the Oreo. Yeah, this Oreo one first. I actually like the macaroon better. I think the Oreo is really good. I just think there's something. It's more about like getting this, like, it's the subsurface of it, of the white that and like getting that just that right amount of warmth in there is really, really hard, and I know that that's hard, and so I was like, that's really cool. I actually think that should be first. And then just basically, you can just basically swap out the positions because they're both really good projects. For the, let's see, then we go into the bunny. So I think the bunny is good. I to be honest with you, I wouldn't show the reference on this one, because your reference, you have plenty of other examples of showing really, really good reference and work that matches it so closely. But this one, because we kind of went in a different direction with it, it almost doesn't, like, it just doesn't, it makes it seem like, oh, well, you didn't actually match that well. So I think actually this piece works better on its own. And then, I wrote down in the breakdown here. So there's one step that I would take out. So it's like build up. And it has to do with like right around the eye. Oh wait, where'd it go? See it again. It was like right in here. Something about, you know what? With this one, I would just make the eye darker throughout. I know it's like a little bit of a cheat on it, but I think, yeah, I think it's okay to keep the eye, like, because what happens is the eye gets a little bit lifted in, yeah, like right at, even early on. So I just make it dark throughout. Yeah, looks good. Yeah, that looks good. I think we should take out this shot. I really like the other one. Like this one's nice. It's got like a nice feel to it. There's some nice cool colors. The skin still feels warm. The glowing lantern looks nice. This one, it's actually more about this effect on them. That like, and also the characters aren't quite as poppy and punchy as the other one. And I think I would just leave it as the other one for now. I also wonder, and I have debates about with this, is I like to clump projects together. Like have like all of your shots from one thing. Some people like to mix it up. That's a total personal preference. But for me, just because like the style of that is different than some of the other stuff on your reel, I would just put those. And again, totally ignore me if you want. I would put this shot with the Santa shot, just so you can kind of stay in this style for a few shots in a row. I want to come back to this one. I want to think about this one a little bit more because I said I would do this live. This shot is good. Do you have access to this? Do you have any interest in going back into this shot?
Yeah, I think I still have the Maya file.
Okay. Because the one thing that I think it's really missing is interaction between the lights that are glowing on his face and the environment itself. I think if we could see that, like feel that a little bit more, that would make like feel a little bit of the yellow on across like his legs, maybe a little bit like just kind of spilling out. I think that would make a really big deal. I think that would make a big difference. And I do think there was a couple other things that we could do to this shot. If you're interested, if you're inclined, you've got enough other good work that I wouldn't worry too much about it. But that's something to keep in mind there. This one's good. That shot is too short, so either mix this in with a couple other ones, but for it's just on for like a second ish. Like a second and a little bit more. It kind of happens too fast and feels kind of out of place between these two shots that move pretty slow. So I would just put that with the other ones. This shot's really pretty. I like this one a lot. You've got really, really good still lifes on your work. And I think that's the right amount of traditional art that you have on there. I think those are cool to have in there. I'm not always on board with people putting like sketch work in there, but in this particular case, you're actually showing some lighting proficiency, especially on this one. Like there's actually like you can actually feel a sense of the lighting, which you don't always get from sketches. And this one's just it's really well done. So. You know, I think maybe I would just take this one out for now. And because I think sorry, I'm also looking to see if maybe I'm also seeing if maybe it wouldn't be beneficial to like take out one of the breakdowns. I think, you know what? Okay, here's what I think. Sorry. I think we should start with the macaroons. I think you should go to the I think you should go to, the tomato shot's your second best. So let's keep that at the end. I think you should go from I think you should take all this stuff, the macaroon shot and these animated things, and move them up front. Then put this shot. Then the shark, then the bunny. And I think we can take out the bunny's breakdown altogether. I know I said it. I said to edit that one thing. I think you've got a good amount of breakdowns already, and we don't need to see a breakdown in every shot. So I think that this one, it could just be like this beautiful thing that passes. I think the other breakdowns are stronger than these. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place with the notes, but is this making sense to you, Clarissa?
Yeah, thanks for all the feedback. This is really helpful.
Good. You've got good work on here. Like, your still lifes are so good. The Oreo, the macaroon, it's really strong. You could just have like a demo reel of just those three, and you'd be fine. Not really, because then people would want to see some character work, but it's really good. Do you guys have any thoughts on this? What are you guys thinking?
The only thing I would say, to your point about the Christmas animated stuff, I think if you just opened up a timeline and put them all together,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something to be said about, like, when you clump those all together, you then see, like, how much of it you have. And I think once you see it all together, it's easier to be, like, to really sit down with a critical eye and be like, okay, which ones are the best ones out of this?
Yeah.
That way, you don't have a solid, like, because I am going to be running into this soon with some of my real-time render stuff. It's like showing the same project but not having it run for 35 seconds of a 52-second demo reel, right? Is like, there's going to be a struggle there, and something's going to have to give. And so it's like, I think if you just, as an exercise, just clump it all together, and then really with a critical eye be like, okay, which ones of these actually matter? I mean, because they're all good. I totally get like a good vibe from all of them. I'm a person though, however, that I like to clump all my projects together. So like when you were talking about purple taste, people's taste, like that's my personal taste, right? It's like I would personally put all the Christmas stuff together, but that's because I've gotten so used to like axing my work that it doesn't bother me anymore.
Can get rid of some of those because I think my reel is running like a little too long.
Yeah,
so I'm not like.
I get the I get the feeling anytime that I'm watching something and I glance down at like if I catch myself like checking to see how long it's running or how much more time there is, I like immediately take note of that. And I did that a little bit with this one towards the end, and I'm not sure why because the work is good. I just think I think it's just like taking out like one of the breakdowns, kind of narrowing down a couple of those shots, and I think you're good. Yeah.
And as much as I personally love the bunny, I think it's probably one of the weaker pieces on the reel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
as compared to some of the other stuff. Like, yeah. It looks more like a personal project you were having fun with, which isn't a bad thing. Versus though, like something that you would see like in a more professional environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially when you compare it to like, the still lifes or the animation.
Yeah, do another pass at it and see. Yeah, either try taking that out or swap. Yeah, just try taking it out and see if you like it. Because it might be because it is one of those like. Because I know it's like the most recent project that you did, and you worked really hard on it, and it did end up looking great. But Kat's right; it does have like a different feel from the rest of it, and so that's why it's really good to show this stuff because even though we have our personal connections to things, it's about how it all plays together, right?
Yeah, no problem. I'll try that.
Great. All right, cool. Great job with this. Great work all around. Really nice.
Yeah, thank you for everyone's feedback.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Austin. Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, about the text at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there are some times where it just kind of leaves really quickly without me really having the chance to like read all of it.
Oh yeah.
And I think this might be a little personal, but I feel like it would be nice if when there is text for some of the pictures that it just kind of stays there for throughout the whole thing, that one piece, instead of disappearing.
That's a really good point because like I don't even really read the text that much, but that's a good call.
Just kind of on that same note, I've seen some. I don't know what is better or not because I've seen on some people's reels where when they're doing the breakdown, they put a caption or a text in there saying what part of the process that picture is. Mm-hmm. Instead of just going through it really fast. I don't know if you want to do that, or maybe if you're going to do fewer breakdowns, then you can show that more and be like, okay, this was compositing, this was lighting, this was whatever.
I wouldn't, and I'll tell you why. Because actually the two notes go together really well because it takes time to read things, and if we give the cut of the breakdown enough time to be able to like read the thing, then it's too long. So I think it should just be, because I like the pace of this, and if there was like words, my eye would just kind of be quickly trying to go back and forth, and like I'd rather just, because breakdowns can be some people don't like, they're like, I get it, you lit the shot, like of course you added lights, like what, like, you know. But I like to see them. I think they're pretty cool because they do, like the shark shot is a good example of this, because I was like, oh, this feels like it's underwater, and the first time I saw it I was like, I didn't necessarily recognize the caustics on top of it, but I was like, oh yeah, that totally works. What else? Oh, and then I would just hold the title page a little while longer at the end, because at this point it doesn't matter. But like, it doesn't matter how long it stays on. It's just like if somebody is trying to get your information, it is helpful that it's like a beat longer in case they want to write down your website or something. And if they don't, then it's like they're already not paying attention to it, right? Sorry, it's so harsh talking about demo reels, but it's like the truth of it. And it's like, because you're like, you know, it's your work. It's like your life's work in this one thing, and someone's like, let's speed it up a little bit, and you're like, okay, I'm sorry I wasted a minute 47 seconds of your life or whatever. But it's just the way it is.
Mike.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, really?
Would it still be like a strong demo reel if you don't have the breakdowns?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's all about the work that you create. I think, especially on professional projects, you don't have the opportunity to provide breakdowns. Like I'm not allowed to show breakdowns of my blue sky work. Like Disney isn't cool with that, because it shows like, somebody got in trouble for that a while ago.
Too much of the behind the scenes.
Yeah, too much of the process without getting approval on it. And then it's like, they're like, guys, if you just got approval on it, it would be fine. And then you're like, cool, can I get approval? And they're like, yeah, sure, we'll send it to legal. And you just never hear anything about it ever again. So
I'll vouch for that.
Yeah. It's just like, it just goes off into the ether. Okay. All right, cool. Let's hop over into, we've got Aaron and Ashley. So we'll do Ashley, we'll do this update on yours first, Ashley, and then we'll hop over into Aaron's. I like the lighting around this door looks a lot better. I like the darkness that we're kind of seeing around there, just kind of getting some like indication of pipes there and things like that. I think that works out really well. The areas that I wanted to focus on most for you were, like, we're losing, I just want to find a way to get a little more, like maybe a little rim light on the character here, or something like that, like we pretend like the light's coming in here, because it's just that in combination of, let's get some light coming down here. I just feel like there would be a little bit more light on the character kind of coming from the backside. And same thing on this, on the helmet. Like, it would be great to read the profile of each a little bit more strongly. I love that we're seeing that glow on his knee, and I almost wonder if it shouldn't be extended down to the helmet and like maybe I don't know. Play around with that. Try putting a spotlight there that like even shines a little bit on the ground, because like I love the interconnectivity of all that stuff. It's really starting to come together nicely.
Yeah, I'll get that up, Charlie.
Yeah. And also,
Did you have lens flare in there last time, Ashley? Because I don't remember there being lens flare.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that in there.
it might have just been lighter back there, so it's hard to see, but I almost want to darken this window and put a little reflection on it or something. Just because... having it be darker helps me focus more on that door in that area back there as opposed to just like wanting to get outside.
Yeah, that's a little bright. I agree.
Play around with this real quick. See something. Playing around with just like adding a little more contrast and bringing up the midtones a little bit. So it's really about just it's just pushing the darks a little darker, and then taking the midtones and the bright values and pushing them a little bit brighter. I think that might help a little. And some of that midtone work is just kind of clearing up a little bit of the haze that's in there. And then we got that, and then that would just be a little bit too much saturation.
Just a quick question, and is as far as like the lens flare goes, would it actually apply in this type of lighting scenario? Because usually lens flare is coming from a bright light source when it hits the camera a certain way.
Yeah, it's probably appearing because of this bright specular highlight. That's a good point. I think we could probably turn. Yeah, I think you could probably turn it off.
Because the really bright one on the left above the toolbox thing is really distracting. I keep staring at that, going like, is that like some sort of issue with
it?
The?
Also kind of clouds the character read a little bit in here too.
Yeah, I'll have to figure out what that is because it's actually like lens flare is not on in Unreal. So what it is like I have something called bloom on, which is causing the glow of the eyes and like on his chest there. And so those lens flares are turning on automatically with bloom. So I'm not sure what the answer to that is. But
That's weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah. So I'll have to figure out that.
Check you might need to mess with the threshold settings on bloom.
Mm-hmm.
And that way if it'll cut out, how much light actually is going to be affected by bloom. It might just be getting it off reflection. So
Yeah.
I would try that.
That's
Yeah,
one of
I'll
the funny
play around
things.
with it.
That's one of the funny things sometimes about these controls or post-process effects and things. It'll be like, oh, but why is it adding a lens flare? It's just a bloom. And it's like, well, we put a lens flare in there. It's like, but that's not what a bloom is.
Yeah, because I saw that and I was like, oh, so how did the lens flares get turned on? And I look and I'm like, they're not on. So
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's really weird, but
Let's see. So one last little thing that I did. It's just a matter of like, so this is the original. I did that adjustment to the levels, and then I also took after I got the brights a little brighter, the darks a little darker, and the midtones shifted a little brighter. I also added a little bit of a like, I guess it's kind of like a post-process haze, but then it's like, so it's almost like if you want to add a little haze back behind the character, but like kind of keep it isolated to just the bright values and not so much in the darks, what you can then do is create a little bit like that. That's lifting the dark values in just the bright areas back behind the character that allows the character's dark areas to pop forward a little bit, and then like you can put a little bit over here. But I think that like having just a touch of haze directly behind the character in the brighter areas could be good. All right, cool. Anybody else got anything before we move on? All right, let's take a look at errands. We'll start.
thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you. All right, old on top, new underneath. So old and new. Old and new. Warmth helps out a lot. I think it's looking really good.
Yeah, the only thing I didn't love about the warmth is that it really takes that red pattern on the floor and
It's odd.
makes it crazy yellow. I don't know I don't know if I have access to that texture or what through Unreal, so I don't know.
Yeah, that is a bit of a bummer. There is a way of crypto matting in Unreal. Do you know that?
Yes. I just don't know if that... Oh, you're saying just in general in the floor and then reduce, yeah.
Yeah, then just like shift it into another. Let's try to do reds.
Yeah, you know, I wonder if I can color correct the shader.
Yeah, if you could color correct the shader, that would do it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a big shift there. But I think, yeah, I think that the, again, since, yeah, depending on your final presentation methodology of this, I think I would first, you know, try and tweak it in the shader. If you can't, then try and tweak it through some sort of crypto map or something.
Yeah, the idea is to try to show as much in-camera work as possible.
Yeah. But it's like,
just
I also,
for what these things are going to be going towards.
It's also just like if you were working on a job with this stuff, you would have access to the materials at some point, and you would be able to tweak that.
Yeah, I just meant more like I don't know how Unreal packages it all up. I don't know if I can bring it into Photoshop. I'm sure I can adjust it in the node editor, so that will not be a problem.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
And then same thing with like, this is so dumb, but like these apples or whatever are in here are like very, very red.
They're like fire embers, yeah.
Is that what that is? Fire embers?
Yeah, so around this entire set, there are some that have flames, and there are some that just have like burning embers. I swapped them out in the hallway because I was trying not to do exactly what the asset had provided.
Yeah.
I left them here because I don't think that like the fire is really adding much anyway. Like all the fire really does is add a little bit of glow around the poles. It's not like they're not my driving force. Yeah. So I just left it the way it was. I can take a look at that shader though and see. I'm sure it's just an emissions value or something.
Does anybody else have any thoughts on this one before we move to the other one? Because I think everything else is looking pretty good. I don't know if there's any way of getting any edge blur up here from the sky, but if not, it's no biggie.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because this was going to be part of the next image. Do you feel that the lighting itself lends to the exposure of that HDRI sky dome? Because I can boost the exposure, and what that does is that gives me like a glow around the edges of like all the geometry. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know if it made sense with just everything else that has been done on this image. Because one of your notes the other day on the other image was, let's boost the exposure or let's boost the brightness in the dome windows. And because I'm trying to do it all in camera, I'm trying to do it as if this was a playable like world. There's really no like isolating that to like the top. I was looking for like a ramp or something, and they don't have ramps in this software.
No. I think we could get away with it with boosting this exposure as well.
Of just the sky dome though, right? Like
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll dive in and see what I can do.
Cool.
So like the only things that I wasn't able to tackle on this image was the exposure in the sky, which I think now will be fixed if I go through and just boost it overall. Mm-hmm. And then those lights that you're seeing in that hallway on the roof.
Yeah.
That is bounce light from the directional light, which is the overall driving force of this entire scene. And when you move into the hallway, it disappears.
So it's like...
I don't understand it. I'm going to try to like find a...
Like, I mean, is it reflective up there? Is it like a bronze-plated ceiling of some sort?
No, it's the same shader as like everything else. But what I find really obnoxious is that like when you move your camera into the room, it goes away.
You know what? You said something one time about a single-sided surface. Maybe it was Ashley. I can't remember. One of you guys said something about like putting there was. Oh no, it was this shot because you put the light underneath the ground.
Yeah.
And it just showed through. I'm wondering if the same is happening there.
No, because it's got geometry behind it that's also single side, like
It's
the
just-
other way. So it's definitely.
odd that it's just like the.
I know.
Like rings.
It's super weird.
And just there. It's like not anywhere. Whatever.
What I don't understand is I don't understand why if I move my camera in there, they disappear. There's obviously some kind of clipping plane.
Yeah.
There's some kind of plane that I'm missing, like, and this just comes from a non-understanding of the software, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure
Usually
someone
when
out
that
there
happens,
who's
it's
on it all the time knows exactly what's going on.
Yeah, and I'm sure that like, because in my head I'm like if it's moving with the camera perspective, then it has to do with like the angle of reflection, you know, like, because then it's like the light bouncing off that and coming at you, and then if you move your point, then the angle is different. It doesn't.
Okay.
I don't. That's very odd. That's a problem with some of the Unreal stuff, and this is just different than like the way that I've worked in the past, which is just like, oh, that's doing that. Okay, let's start with the basics. Like, turn off the lights. Is it still working? Is it turn off the shaders? Is it still happening? Let's turn off this. Is it still happening? It sounds very difficult to do those things.
Well, that was the first thing I did. I was just like going through my lights, turn them off, and see which one it is. And unfortunately, it is this massive directional light that I need. Now, I did add a bounce light similar to what I did in the main room. I did add like a floor bounce light going up in to try to sell it more, but it still doesn't make sense. Like, I mean, the bounce light to me looks okay, but like those highlights still don't look right.
Yeah.
And if I'm gonna have my camera, I'm gonna put my camera on a track that kind of does a semicircle around the room. Those will always be there, so I have to figure out how to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Just thought, I mean, I don't know. I'll look into I think I've got a couple Unreal Discord channels that I can look through, or maybe I'll even reach out to Jordan, who did all the tutorials, and see what his thought process is.
Yeah, Jordan's around. He's great. I think he just started a new job, but yeah, he's more than happy to help.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. All right, good stuff, everybody. That is all for this week. I will. So here's the deal with it's October 1st, and the lighting challenge I was supposed to happen last month didn't, obviously. So what I'm gonna do, and we're not. I was hoping that everything would be in place for it. So what I'm gonna do, hopefully later today, maybe tomorrow, is put up because we have assets now of this really, really great lion animation. But the fur isn't ready yet for it. So I'll just put it up there to be like, if you want to play around with it, you can, but don't worry. Like once everything's done, we'll set the due date on the lighting challenge. So you can play around with it if you'd like. If not, that's totally fine too. There will be because I know that some people like to just wait for everything to be done before they start lighting it. And some people like to play around ahead of time. So we're just going to leave it open, and then we'll go from there. There's also a really cool in the marketplace. Sarah just created a separate. It's not one of the lighting challenges, but it's like a jellyfish thing that's really cool too. So
The jellyfish look cool. I almost bought that, but I'm just paying her for another asset she made me.
yeah.
Shocker.
Which is great. Yeah, we kind of cut her loose and just said like whenever you got something, upload it, and we just want to. We love her as an artist and as a person, so we want to give her every chance to make some extra money. So we're like, just go crazy, throw up as much as you want. So, all right, cool. You guys, I will. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all back on Monday. And hopefully, I'll have an update for you. Maybe today, maybe Monday for the next lighting challenge.
Thank you.
All right, cool guys. Be good.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Bye.